Why do married people often earn more than their single counterparts? My name is Paul Vasquez with Tax Lab. We help people become ethical millionaires. So, does society just value the work of a married person more than a single person? Probably not. What is most likely happening, and what the studies seem to say, not that I can give you any to read up on, but if I'm wrong, give me the studies. Let me learn. That's my understanding, is that the main reason why a married person earns more than a single person is because they have to. They have more responsibilities to earn for not just themselves, but for other people. And sometimes it's a little bit easier of a motivator to try to earn money to benefit somebody else than just yourself, because you can probably get by, right? You can get by with this. And if you're not having everything you could possibly want out of life, the only person you can blame is yourself, right? Doesn't quite work out the same if you have a family, because they're reliant on you to help satisfy their needs and wants out of life when it comes to the financial struggles, as well as hopefully they're looking to you as well for some of the emotional and character building models, an example of how to be. So it's not just if I screw up or if I don't earn enough, it only hurts me. Now it hurts other people. So is there a way that no matter what stage you are in life, whether you're pre-family, have the family, or post-family, is there a way you can have a similar motivation? I think there is. I think you owe a duty to a person in the future called yourself. That's right. You, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, are possibly reliant on what the person of you today does. How well has that person saved and invested so that way person in the future you, has the means to take care of themselves, even if they're no longer able to participate in the job market. A lot of times they apply what's called a 4% rule. It used to be 3%. I think now everybody's saying 4% or more because of inflation. And so what you do is you look at your liquid net worth. So that means first, guess what? You have to be able to calculate your net worth. All right? And your net worth is all your assets minus your liabilities. When we're looking at what you can live off of, most of the time we want kind of the liquid net worth. You're not going to include the house you're living in unless you're kind of renting out a room in your home. But most people aren't planning on that in their senior years. You want to kind of plan on that liquid amount that is there in reserve to live off of. They say if you plan on just 4%, living off that on 4%, could you survive? And so you can even do a backwards calculation by saying, how much am I living off of now? You need to have that budget. If you have that budget and you say, this is how I'm spending my money, then you can say, hey, this is how I'm spending my money. If you're spending every penny that you earn, I guess it makes it a little easier because you have to replace your total income. But we need to, in that case, start now living on less or earning more than what we need to live. So that way we can set that liquid part aside. We can have that, put that to work for the future us. Now, a lot of times your financial planners may have you project out what your revenue would be in the future. And that's a good place to start. But what if we brought that number forward in time and we said, okay, if we had to live off of 4% of our income now, what would that look like? Or I'm sorry, 4% of our liquid net worth right now, what would that look like? Could we survive off of that? And if we use that as our new measuring stick, not only would we be helping a future us that's a little closer in time, but we're actually now giving reason to why you need to save now. Instead of, oh, I can start this in the future, or let me try that next year, let me try that now. Could you ask yourself, if something happened to you right now, could you survive off of that? What are we doing right now to earn more than what we spend, or spend less than what we earn? Put away the rest, have that start producing some income right now for us right away. And yes, if you're doing that without going through qualified plans, you might be paying more taxes. But more important than the tax issue is the savings issue. If you're not able to live off of less than what you make, then you're going to have a hard time saving. You're going to have a hard time motivating yourself to find a way to make more money than you spend unless you have a reason to do so. So whether or not you have those children at home, whether or not you have other mouths to feed, you're going to need that extra reason. And that extra reason is the you in the future who's depending on the you now. And we can bring that you in the future until the you of right now, saying, what would happen if you lost the ability to work? Could you live off those investments, off 4% of the value of those liquid assets? Could you live off of that? So right now we need to start making that part of our motivation, to start saving, start investing, start figuring out, what do we need to do? What do you need to do to live off of less than what you make, or on the other side of that equation, make more money than what you need to live off of? And you say, well, it's hard to do. I bet if you had additional mouths to feed, you'd start finding a way, right? At least the majority. The majority of people, that's how it seems to go for the majority of people. Once they start that family, once they have people who rely on them financially, they find a way. Now, I would always promote that way be legal and ethical, of course. Yes, there are people out there who use that as additional, I wouldn't say motivation, but I would say excuse to do something illegal or unethical. But I think that's a lazy excuse. I think that's an excuse that does more damage that could possibly do more damage to your family and to your future self. If you put yourself in a position where you might be removed forcibly from earning for your family, for the future you. So it is a losing strategy to do things illegally or unethically, because you're increasing the percent chance that you will fail. You're just increasing the rate of failure, because when you get caught doing those things and you're punished for it, you lose. And it's less likely you'll be punished for doing something that you never did, right? It can happen. You can be falsely accused, yes. But the chances of that happening decrease the more well-behaved you are, the better you are doing this. And in a way, when you follow the rules, you almost create a barrier, especially when you do it the right way, because you create and track the evidence that's necessary to show that you've been doing this the legal and ethical way. So that's a little bit, I guess, longer on the road to your success. But if you want to earn more, you need to give yourself a reason to, especially if you haven't been doing that. One of that, and I'm just suggesting that one of those reasons could be the future you, or the you of tomorrow who might not be able to participate in the job market for one reason or another. If you want a plan that is specific for you and where you are right now, if you want us to help you get together that personal balance sheet to get your net worth, a personal budget, and a tax plan, a tax and financial strategy that's going to help you reduce your taxes and increase your wealth generating opportunities, go to lab.tax, click on advisory services, get your free 15-minute introductory phone call so we can begin helping you help you in the future. And I wish you guys all the success.